Hello guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're going to be doing another manga review. Today we're going to be looking at Spider-Man Fake Red, written by Yusuke Osawa, published by Viz, although it clearly labels it as a Marvel title right there at the top. And it's a Viz title right there down below, sorry. The demographic, as far as I understand it, is a shonen, and it is labeled teen here in the back. And the genre is, of course, superhero. And in terms of adaptation, it does not have one, although this would be a pretty cool animated Spider-Man movie. They could change things a little bit so it's a little bit faster so that it can fit in a 2-hour time frame. But, you know, if Disney Plus wants to have exclusive content on it that relates to Spider-Man, this could probably be something that they could turn into a movie or a short little 5-episode show and churn it out for Disney Plus, and I think it would do really, really well. In terms of ratings, a 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed my time with this, even though it does have a few little issues. Broadly speaking, I think it captures the idea or essence of Spider-Man very, very well. And so the premise here is actually not about Spider-Man. It's about this kid that is inspired by Spider-Man. So Spider-Man has a problem, and he goes away for a while, for a few weeks, and Yu finds the suit and takes on the mantle of Spider-Man for a time. And during this time, he finds out a lot about himself, and it's really, really good. It's really enjoyable. In terms of a plot line here, we get introduced to Spider-Man solving some crime in a very casual neighborhood Spider-Man kind of way. Then we get introduced to Yu, who is the complete opposite of Spider-Man. He's a loser, he's stupid, he has a hard time, he doesn't socialize, he doesn't have friends. He is basically the most loser-esque person that you can think of. He has a pretty unhappy home life, and I think he doesn't even have a mom. He only lives with his dad, so he's completely opposite of Spider-Man, right? And he goes outside of his house, he's on his way to school, and he sees a kid that he knows from school being bullied, being harassed, being beaten up, and they make eye contact, and Yu thinks about trying to save him, but ultimately decides not to because he knows that he doesn't have the strength for it, and so he's not even going to bother to try. Then they see each other again, and Yu says sorry. The other kid's like, I don't care, it's not your problem. Why would I expect you to help? And this affects Yu. He finds himself kind of rethinking about this slightly. And then he finds a Spider-Man suit in an alley somewhere, just kind of left there, and he puts it on a few days later or after a while, and he goes outside wearing the suit, and he gets pulled into helping a little boy who's trapped in a building that's on fire, and he saves this kid, and he kind of realizes that, you know, he might not be Spider-Man, but he does have the ability to help people to an extent. However, he's also fighting with the fact that, hey, I don't actually have superpowers, I don't have knowledge or skills about how to do this, what the hell am I doing? And so he kind of gets this situation going for him, back and forth, where he's like, I mean, I could do it, but I can't, but I can, but I won't, but I will. And he keeps doing this, and he ends up saving a few more people along the way. One of them is this girl called Emma, who is part of his class. He's actually kind of in love with her to an extent. He's very inspired by her, and he finds her to be very attractive, and he wants to go out with her. But because of his loser status, he doesn't really ever feel like he can try to do so. However, they become friendly, and she gets captured by these guys who are trying to steal a car, and he saves her. Then she kind of is very interested in the fact that he's Spider-Man, and they become friends that way. Then some other stuff happens, and Emma and Yu become besties to an extent. And then Screwball shows up. So this is more or less in the kind of Spider-Man video game kind of timeline, because I don't remember Screwball ever being a part of other Spider-Man media I've ever heard about. So I don't know. I'm not like super invested in the Spider-Man comics anyway. So it's entirely possible she does show up there quite often. I'm just not aware of it. But it shows up. She shows up, and she does a bunch of crazy stuff because she's basically a streamer, and she's trying to get views, and a lot of the stuff she does is very dangerous, but also not exactly a crime, and so she just gets a lot of views. She uses Spider-Man for this reason, and she then leaves after Yu manages to defeat her to an extent. However, she gets tracked down by Silk, another Spider-Man character, and Silk actually captures her, and she gets put in jail because of her. Then Silk realizes, hey, Peter isn't the one that's doing this stuff, so she goes and finds Yu, and she confronts him. Eventually, she's like, okay, you're doing something dumb, but you're doing a good thing. And Peter has this phrase about responsibility, so I will allow you to do this because right now, by having the suit, you have the power, and so you need to go with the responsibility that comes with it. And so this happens. Then later, in a different scene, Emma confronts Yu, and she actually explains, hey, I was afraid of telling you this because I'm not sure how we would feel about each other, but I'm actually gay. She's interested in this other girl, and this kind of heartbreaks you to an extent, but also makes him happy in the sense that, oh, she's never shared this with anyone, and she's decided to share it with me. That means we're very close. And so he experiences this kind of elation, but also kind of this sadness. However, ultimately, he's okay with it, and he's very happy for her, and he's supportive of her, and I thought that it was really, really good. I think this was a pretty interesting portrayal of this sort of situation. I quite liked it. I thought it was quite nice. Then Silk finds Peter. He's actually been in the sewers dealing with the fact that the Venom symbiote has attached to him again, and it is in constant war with him. And actually, Peter's trying his best to stay hidden and not harm anyone, not affect anyone with his venomness. They have a fight, and of course, Peter Venom wins against Silk, and she gets kind of beat up. She does have a healing factor, so she's not dead. And then eventually Yu goes to find her. He helps her out, and then Venom shows up above ground, and he starts basically going crazy and hurting people. And so Yu has to step in. He manages to save Peter from himself, essentially. And then it turns out that the villain the whole time was actually Mysterio. And so Yu and Peter fight against Mysterio in a kind of way that's pretty reminiscent of the latest Spider-Man movie, or the second Spider-Man movie in the MCU. And from there, the story actually wraps up really, really quickly. There's a lot of other elements here that are kind of interesting, that kind of tie in with MJ and Peter and Aunt May and stuff like that, but they're not super important to like the through line of the story. They're mostly just context. And I do want to say that the story does end a bit quickly here, and I think it's because actually it was canceled in Japan. The story was not selling that well in Japan, and so it was canceled. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I'm not really aware of that being the case, but that is kind of what I saw in the grapevine on social media. So whether that is true or not, the fact remains that it does feel like it ended too quickly. I feel like it needed at least 2 or 3 more chapters to kind of really flesh out the struggles of Peter and how he was dealing with being Venom and how Yu saves him. Because basically Yu is like, you're a hero, you're Spider-Man, you're my hero. Kind of very similar to how Deku and All Might kind of have an interaction early on in the story. And then that makes Peter manage to kind of control Venom and become the suit in the black suit in a very quick way. And I'm not really sure that that's satisfying. Like, that doesn't feel like it works well, but it manages to make for a really cool image. So that's fine. So that's really my only complaint here. I feel like it needed 2 or 3 more chapters, and that's a pretty mild complaint. Overall, I really enjoyed the story. I liked Yu, I liked Emma, I like all the characters that were introduced, and I like the way that the story flows. So overall, the plot line is great. In terms of characters, we got Yu, Emma, Pete, MJ, May, Silk, Venom, Screwball, Scorpion, and Mysterio. And all of the characters are pretty good. Not all of them are the versions I'm familiar with. However, their suits are really cool. They do feel a lot more techy than what I'm used to. And I'm not sure if that's because of the Spider-Man video game or because this is a different interpretation. Either way, there are kind of very interesting amalgamations of a lot of different versions of them. And I quite like it. I really enjoy all the characters here. Yu and Emma are really good. I really enjoy Yu's development as a person. And I really like Emma's characterization and the way that she kind of affects you in the kind of course of reading the story. So overall, very good. In terms of world building, there really isn't much. It's pretty standard Spider-Man stuff, but the aesthetic of it is all kind of slightly different from what you might be used to from the comic books or from any old TV show that you watched. But overall, it works really, really well. There's no new things that are introduced that are completely of the kind of Japanese side of things. It all is pretty standard Western stuff. And there's some callbacks to other things. You know, we see J. Jonah Jameson, we see Aaron Davis, or the Prowler, and he mentions Miles very kind of loosely and stuff like that. So overall, really good stuff. The artwork is where this shines, though. I really like the artwork. It's really, really good. It's awesome. It's great. It also has a lot of color pages, even though there were some times where I felt like this could have also been a color page. Particularly when Silk was tracking down Peter Parker, I feel like that there were some scenes there that felt like they were in color and then got turned into grayscale, and I would have liked to see them as well. But overall, there's a lot of color pages scattered throughout the book. And these are kind of the more old school Viz type color pages. They're not really like comic book pages. They're kind of very standard. They're like the same paper as Inside, but with ink. But they look really, really good. The printing is very crisp and very nice. And so there's a little bit at the beginning. Then there's some in the middle, dotted across for very specific moments. There's like this one. This one is a very emotional moment there. And then at the end, there's a big gallery of color pages back here that give you some more little extras there. There's some certain things that I would have liked to have in color, like these character introduction sheets that happen at the end of certain chapters when certain characters are introduced and or brought together. Like clearly this should have been in color. It looks like it was in color, but they didn't print it in such, and I really would have liked to see these pages here in color, and there's a few of them throughout the book that I would have liked to see in color too. But overall, bang for your buck, I think this is pretty good, and if you can get it at a half-price bookstore or a Walmart or Target, you're probably going to get it for cheaper than cover price, for like $12, I think. So overall, bang for your buck. It has a lot of good artwork here and a lot of stuff like that. In terms of fan service, though, there really isn't anything. I mean, there's certain elements where the female characters are drawn in a little bit more provocative style than the male characters, but it's pretty minimal, and it's nothing that really could be considered like real fan service. It's just like, oh, look, she has a butt, and that's basically it. It's not really anything egregious or anything serious or anything actually, honestly, that I would consider fan service. But your mileage may vary there. Nothing meaningful in according to my scale. So there you go. In terms of a rating, like I said, this is a 5 out of 5. The ending is a bit quick, but overall, it's not really a problem. It's really good. There's no issues whatsoever with this book. I really enjoyed my time with it. So there you go. 5 out of 5. I recommend you guys read this. If you're even vaguely a fan of Spider-Man, you'll probably enjoy this. And if you like anime and you like anime with superheroes, you'll probably enjoy this as well. So there you go. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought down below, and thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.